for the coverage of the World Cup finals. This time from Kingston, Ontario on my part. A little bit of a different setup, so let me know if you can hear me well. A little bit less high tech, but everything should be working, technically speaking. Yasser, thank you for being
Yes.
there again, as
Oh, thank
usual.
you, Robin. Pleasure to be with you. Welcome, everybody, as Robin says, to our show of today. We've got game three in the World Cup final.
Yep, and I can see that the players are going into some, recently debated theoretical lines, so we'll go get to that. But let me know if everything's okay in terms of the sound, in terms of if you can see us. Uh, this is from a new place. I wouldn't even call it a studio yet, so I'm trying to make sure
Aha.
that everyone can enjoy this stream.
So we're taking a risk with our new connectivity, huh?
We're taking a risk because the boys are both in Isle of Man, and I have
Yes.
classes. Yes, I'm living a double life. I have classes to attend. So, um,
I like
but
it.
but the good
See,
thing is for me is that I can just wake up and go right to streaming.
exactly.
I'm blocking the whole screen, but I have the little student room going on, and and yeah, so it's a bed and a desk, and that's it.
Quite a commute, to be
Yeah.
sure. Well, okay, so let's get into the game. We started with an English
Yep.
opening, and instead of the Mechanis variation that we saw in game one, that's with knight c3 and e4.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Very quickly, the players went into a kind of a Catalan
Yeah, so this is like,
style.
well, how would you call them? The late Catalan, maybe? The ones where white is not playing d4? Or,
Yeah, that's a tough one for me to say because it always seemed to me it had a more English flavor than a Catalan flavor. I always associated the Catalan with white's pawn on d4
Mhm.
and an English with white pawn usually on d3. Now, what I have done on move four for white, if I suspect my opponent wants to go into d5 takes c4 territory,
Mhm.
I've often played in this exact position b2 b3,
In this
and
one.
in this exact position, yeah, b2 b3. So the idea, of course, is to put the kibosh on d5 takes c4. And I remember I played in a Dutch league,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember my opponent was Sipke Ernst.
Yeah.
He's a grandmaster, Dutch grandmaster. He was so frustrated with the system. He went d5, d4, and it was like somehow I ended up in a Benoni with like two extra tempi
Yeah.
for white,
Yeah.
and that was not good for black. So normally speaking, they go for c5,
Mm-hmm.
bishop g2, knight c6, let's say, castles, bishop e7, let's say.
I had a
And
game
now,
like this actually.
yeah, and I don't play bishop b2. I
Mm-hmm.
played against Gregory Kaidanov e2, e3. And
Mm-hmm.
now we're getting into this kind of conventional line where they castle. I play bishop b2. And eventually, I stick my pawn on d3, my knight on c3, my queen on e2. Totally, totally different game. But this double fianchetto actually puts some, I want to say, invisible pressure, somehow a hidden pressure on Black's position.
Right.
And he doesn't get in, any of his d5 takes c4 positions. And, well, it's just a different game altogether. But I like this move b3 because again, if you just want to play chess, want to avoid lots of theory, it's a very, very decent setup for white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
All
no,
right.
this is but obviously we know Levon not for going for sidelines. Like he might try out something a little unknown, but there's
Yes,
usually some theory or some analysis behind that, right? So
exactly.
allowing d takes c4 obviously the more the theoretical option here. And
Right.
so c6 used to be the go-to move here, but Levon had a
hmm
game there against Vasily Ivanchuk if my memory serves me well in this World Cup. Um,
It was the second game
mhm.
where Ivanchuk needed to win.
Right.
with black. And he got something. He got a. I think the players actually um, followed Ivanchuk's play. Bishop d7, Queen c4, c5, knight e5.
Oh, so actually, I'm talking. That's interesting. So I'm referring
Yeah.
to a different game, Yasser. I'm
Okay.
I'm referring to their first game, and I think there
Right.
Vasily was on the black side and played
Yes.
c6, queen takes c4, b5, and
Right.
lost this game very
Terrible.
quickly, right? And then they
Yeah.
actually, I didn't realize that, but then they basically switched colors, so to
Yeah.
speak, and then Levon played bishop d7, which is very trendy right now,
Right.
because it's sort of supposed to be an easy equalizer for
Right.
black.
And that's right. And Ivanchuk was on the white side, where after knight e5,
Yeah,
he got the two Bs.
exactly.
But black had a nice knight on the d4 square.
Right.
All right, but this move, queen d3,
Yeah, this is new.
uh,
So
that's new. What's up with that?
I'm not sure. A lot of players have been debating this position, and one thing I don't understand is so I'll Eric and I, we both like to play good versions of the hedgehog. Like good versions of the
Right,
hedgehog are still pretty harmless, but so for example, this one over here, I didn't see many players go for it, but
right.
I was thinking about playing something like this as white once, playing
Hmm.
a3, d3, knight d2, castle, and then eventually e3 when you can. And
Yes,
I mean, all of these positions are similar in the sense that white doesn't really have much to show except for maybe the bishop pair.
right,
But if you need to play for, or if you're playing for a win and you just want a not entirely balanced position, I
right.
still think this is a pretty good way of approaching the game.
Absolutely.
But like you
Yeah,
said, this Aronian came up with something completely new, right?
right. I've always liked the hedgehog as black. I've won many, many model games. Uh, Periodically, I've been snuffed. I gave up too much space, kind of thing. But this is you're playing a hedgehog with white, with the already double fianchetto. That's kind of an accelerated version. So
Hmm.
I think that this is a, a fully balanced. Well, I think it's a balanced game. I think it's a nice way for white to play as well.
Right, yeah. Not that it's unbalanced in terms of evaluation, it's just that
Yeah.
you have some interesting things going on in that position very early
Right.
on. But yeah,
So
like you said,
the
queen to d3, right? That's new to both
okay.
of us.
So the idea, as I understand, it's pretty straightforward. In that game between Ivanchuk White, Aronian Black, after castles, knight c6, knight takes d7, queen takes d7. Um, Black eventually played knight d4, knight d5, and his queen was pretty nicely placed on d7. White's queen got booted around until it ended up on the, I guess, the d1 square or wherever it retreated to.
Hmm.
So White spends a move moving his queen to d3 to make Black's harmony with his pieces uh, not so nice. I mean, because after this move, queen d3, knight c6,
Hmm.
knight takes d7, no question that Levon would have been very happy with the queen trade
Yeah.
after queen. So Ding ended up playing knight takes d7, and unlike that previous game that we cited, Black's knights aren't ready to go to d4 and the d5 squared.
Right, it's kind of a subtle difference, right?
Yes.
And also at the same time, knight to d4 is still prevented, most likely because of taking. But perhaps he just goes queen to d1 there.
Usually queen to d1, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
usually queen to d. So just here, and this knight can be kicked out at white's convenience, pretty much. So
exactly.
I believe this is the position right now. Let me just update this to make sure. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Oh, sorry. He's played knight c3, not castling.
Knight
Uh,
c3. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Somehow I feel that the knight on uh, d2 is a little bit more flexible than the knight on c3. If black ever goes storming on the queen side, a6, b5, c4,
mhm.
trying to push a little bit on the queen side, the knight on d2 sometimes after an a4, ends up nicely on the c4 square. So knight c3 has been played. Okay, let's imagine castles, castles.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, black's knight on d7 is queen on c8. That needs a little
Yeah.
repair work.
I'm wondering, is black thinking about putting a knight on b6 so that maybe in some cases he has the f6 square for the bishop? I like obviously I can go back to f6 and I could even put
Right.
my queen back to d7, but then I'm
Yes,
sort of admitting like, oh, what you did is quite
I've
smart,
lost.
Levon. So
Yeah. And you
uh,
don't want to admit
and no one likes to admit
when
that their opponent did something smart, right? So
exactly. So you look to exploit what you hope is a loss of tempo with queen a4 to c4 to d3 to b3. Now, having said that, ideally, yeah, I think you're right. I think it makes a lot of sense to put the knight on d4, the bishop on f6. But the problem is that if black wanted a knight d4, maybe he had to play it on move 10. Here, knight d4, queen takes b7, the e2 pawn is protected.
hmm.
So you're just losing a pawn, and you don't do
No,
that.
there's not much to it, yeah. Um,
Exactly.
I'm wondering if the move rook to b8 makes any sense here for black.
Yeah, but that's a move that white will be very happy because first of all, it's a tempo.
Mm-hmm.
And second of all, if the bishop, like d3, if the bishop ever goes to
Yeah,
f4,
that's an annoying one.
yeah, you don't want to play e5, not with the knight on c3,
Yeah,
because it will jump nicely to the d5 square, and you'll have regrets in the future.
right. I do feel like ace, like getting in b5 is sort of a nice thing because maybe then my knight looks a little bit better on b6. But you're right, it opens up this idea of bishop f4, and the bishop obviously is only strengthened by black moving his b pawn. So
Exactly.
I already like. I mean, obviously, this really shouldn't be the end of the world for black, but there is a
No.
little bit of a question here for Ding Liren as to how he's
Right.
going to place his pieces, and it's a very positional matter, right?
Right.
So nothing too concrete here, but yeah, Levon is just hitting him with this like tiny idea that requires him to maybe think a little bit, but he's playing pretty fast, I must say. It's almost like he's familiar with the position. Rook to d8 was played.
Yeah. Very useful move, of course, because half open d file, nice outpost on d4. So clearly the rook on f8's not doing as much on the as it is on the d8 square. So I like this move. Now here from Levon's point of view, because well, this is for me an English position. I get a lot of positions like this as white, and I put my pawn on d3 and I say, okay, let's go. So I'm imagining d2, d3,
Mm-hmm.
and well, there you have it. We may see kind of like what happened in the Ivanchuk game. The bishop came to d2, the rook to c1, the
Mm-hmm.
bishop to e1. Uh, yeah, I would prefer the bishop on b2, but there's a couple of
Pieces in the way.
issues that
Yeah.
yeah that we would have to first tidy up.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, no, the bishop's gonna go somewhere on the c1 to f4 diagonal. Um,
Right, just out, right?
mhm. But yeah, I'm expecting to see d3. Let me just double check if he's played it already.
And
Um,
actually, since you did mention it, I'm a little bit surprised how quickly both players have played their openings thus far. I mean, we haven't really had that, 20-minute think on move eight, or something.
mhm.
They just go very, very quickly through their preparation.
Yeah. No, well, to be fair, I how many people do you think are working for these players while they're playing these finals? Because I feel like once you're in the final, you might even get like an extra second, just helping you
Absolutely.
out. And I remember one time, Jan Smeets and Anish Giri were both playing in the World Cup, so two Dutch guys, and
Yeah.
and I think one started working for the other somewhere in the middle of the tournament once.
Yes.
Once you got kicked out, so like everyone, once you're still in, it's like everyone you know and their brother will help you. Like,
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, to that end, what you just said, I was reading some reports on ChessBase where it felt like the Chinese Olympic team,
hmm
even though a lot of the Chinese players got kicked out, like they were helping their colleagues, for the surviving colleagues.
hmm
I don't know if that's still the case in Ding's situation now that they're already in the seventh match, whether his Chinese uh, countrymen went home or not. But for sure, exactly the way you described it, it's sort of like the number of competitors in the field is reduced,
hmm
but your helpers may increase.
Yeah.
you know, as that's very, very common. Um, Also, today, thanks obviously to Skype, uh, a lot of players don't necessarily bring their seconds anymore
No,
to
that's very true.
the the tournament, but
hmm
they're in touch with one another by Skype, and I recall that very uh, vividly. Magnus Carlsen, he goes to Chennai for his first World Championship match, and he takes his dad and his family, his manager,
And
but
like
his
one
seconds.
second, I think.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, 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 yeah. 1 second, and it's like, dude, that's all you brought. I mean, the whole of India was happily working for Vichy.
yeah.
And then the hammer, he's at home, but he's in touch, preparing with Magnus. So, okay, Rook D8. Okay, let's put D3 on the board, and
Yeah.
uh,
So D3.
I'm thinking the position is, let's call it equal,
hmm
but we understand that with the two bishops, you're playing just for long, long, long range advantage. Now, what do you do with black? You've been talking about putting the knight on B6.
hmm
Normally speaking, I'm I kind of just wave my flag and say, okay, I'm going to put the knight on f6, the queen on d7, the rook on c8.
Yeah. It's a bit hard, like from a mental point of view, to do that
Right.
because
Yes.
okay. So I'll tell you what my idea with knight to b6 is.
Yes. Yes.
I want to
Knight
play
d6.
knight to d4. I'm expecting
Right.
queen d1, and then
Yeah.
I want to play c4.
Okay. Fair
Maybe,
enough. That's
maybe.
that's a very direct approach. I like
hmm
it. Okay. Bishop f4. I agree that my queen is likely to go to d1. So this move, if it was my turn right here, I would play rook on f1 to c1,
hmm
anticipating that my queen is going to go back to d1. But I don't want to trap my rook behind everybody. Okay, c4. Yeah, because the immediate knight d4, queen
Yeah.
d, yeah, the immediate knight d4 maybe just whiffs c4, and I could play e3. Ooh.
Although even this one,
Yeah.
you might regret putting that bishop there. Like
I'm feeling no, I can still go d4. If you
g5 or
go,
e5.
oh, g5. Ooh. Okay. Now I'm feeling
Yeah, I'm
a little
thinking this
bit
one's in a bit of
embarrassed.
trouble. Yeah.
Wait. I'm lucky. I'm lucky. Bishop g5, bishop g5, queen g4, h6, h4. At least I get two pawns,
Yeah,
right? It's
but
not
I don't
the
think it's
greatest
enough.
attack
No.
ever, right?
No. No.
Two pawns. Yeah. Okay, yeah, this was a very speculative, and of course, the bishop. Okay, so let's go back to knight b6 for a second. And
hmm
I didn't have uh, a comfortable way of meeting knight b6 because if I play bishop d2, c4 is an immediate hit. So I have to play bishop e3 and be prepared to capture the knight if it jumps to d4. Capture the knight?
Okay, let's first see if I can equalize here if I take with the pawn.
Okay. Knight e4.
So get out of the way now.
Yeah.
This one?
And yes, the timing looks just fabulous for black.
Yeah, it seems like everything's under control.
Yeah, this is a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Oh boy. So knight b6, very legit move.
Well, c4 is just it's a concrete way to try and, make use of this queen on b3, which might have some drawbacks too, right?
No question about it. Very concrete.
I'm wondering if a4 is an idea.
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
a4.
In some ways, the move a4 represents, like the Fisher. You got to win, got to give squares. I'm reluctant, of course, to give up the b4 square, but you see this very often when you're playing against a Maroczy bind.
Yeah.
That you imagine the pawn is on e5. Black often is going a4, a4, a7, a5, a5, a4 and in this case you give, with the move a4, you give the white queen a little bit more space. So if you jump knight d4, let's say, that looks like a very decent move. I have queen a2.
Yeah. Queen a2 actually also preventing this, like knight d5 isn't there,
Right.
so this is still...
Well, e2 is hanging. So knight d5 is a legit move, I think.
it might be possible, you're right.
Right.
But it seems very tricky because I can play maybe e3 or something like that.
Definitely. And in case of knight b4, queen c4. And white's queen is still being
still here.
Ooh, but is this true, Robin? How about, and not that I don't like that move. Your knight might get
Yeah, it will get trapped,
right?
especially if I take.
Yeah, but knight c6 threatens knight e5 takes d3, as well as knight takes d3.
These are complicated lines. Like, these are for the
Yes.
players to calculate.
Yes.
But this feels like it should be fine for black, even if I don't win the pawn.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, just take it, and you're traded a very, you got the two bishops, and you might be very happy, but when you're playing against the knight
On
you've got a
d3.
bishop. Yeah, it's the question of whether or not the knight's got an outpost. If it doesn't have an outpost, normally the bishop is better. Here, I'm looking at that knight on d3, and I'm going, hey, wait a minute, that's a very serious knight. c5, c4, black will anchor his knight, and he'll be very happy.
No,
So
this
this
is
felt
a
well.
brilliant position for black.
Yeah.
Yasser, C. Breeden just donated 500 bits to the channel, saying that
Thank you.
I think I'm not sure, he or she bought your best games DVD.
Oh yes,
People
from
are still
Chess
doing,
yes.
people are still watching DVDs. That's
It's
not gone
amazing.
yet. So,
Thank you for that. I have an immunity. You can't sue me if I ruin your game.
I'm being corrected. It's a he. I'm sorry. I thought
Right.
I'd throw in a very well-educated guess there, but it was a he.
It was a okay. Well, thank you very much for that. And again, I'm indemnified. I got some kind of Grandmaster Union can't sue us indemnification card. But okay, this actually, and again, we want to say that thank you for joining us for your chessbrah channel. We're hoping that what we're doing here at the World Cup will raise awareness for, well, what we're doing here, which is chess streaming. And Robin, before we came on the air, you had confided into me that you had streamed the other day and you were playing bullet chess. What happened?
I was playing bullet chess. Actually, I was playing some of the viewers. I was playing some blitz. And then I had a fellow Dutch guy, and he tried to hunt me down, Yasser. He saw an opportunity. He saw that I was rusty. and
Yeah.
I really had to get my things together because I think I went down like 3-1 in a bullet match.
Ooh.
It's against Thomas Beertsen
Hmm.
from the Netherlands. But then once I started getting back into it, I did manage to win the match convincingly. So it went something like 15-7. But it's you don't always expect to be hunted down by your countrymen and women. But if
No.
they see an opportunity to to get some fame on the internet by
Easy.
beating a chessbrah, then they're very quick to to take
Pounce,
advantage
huh?
of that. So,
Right.
but it was a lot of fun being back at the on the channel and played some fun games on chess.com. So, yeah,
Nice.
for sure, for sure.
Nice. Well, again, as you were saying, you're in incognito, you're leading a double life as a student, getting your education, getting all that book learning in you. And it's nice just to take a break from class,
Yeah,
right?
it is. It
And,
really is.
and throw some paddings. So we did something wrong last time because after bishop e3 last time,
Mm-hmm.
knight d4. I obviously put my knight on a stupid square on e4. It's not a stupid square, it was just not a very good move. How about bishop takes d4, takes knight b5 instead?
Is there knight a4 as well as a possibility? Okay, knight b5 anyway is
Yeah.
also a good try. Um, let's
Now,
say
obviously, I'm going to play rook c1, so get your queen out of dodge. Yes, rook over. And now I'm thinking knight takes a7 is on white's agenda. Rook c7, quite obviously.
this is actually kind of annoying, especially the fact that knight takes a7 is such a direct threat.
Exactly. This must be, well, this is certainly what I missed. Knight e4. Usually I like my knight centralized, and that was but it blocked my bishop on g2 on e4. And I never won control of the c5 square either. So knight b5, much superior move. And
I'm really struggling to find a move here for
exactly.
black.
Yeah, things already are not nice. White's very, very fast. The bishop on e7 is actually playing a pretty passive role at the moment.
Yeah, well, what we mostly see is just opposite color bishops, with one being clearly superior to the other, to its
Exactly.
counterpart. So that's
So
actually very
let's,
instructive because my initial feeling is okay, knight d4 takes equal, but
right. When
there's
you
some
look
very
at the
concrete issues
position,
there. Yeah, if I
yeah.
don't get time to to put my knight on d5 to go queen to d7 and develop my pieces with rook c8, it's not that easy. There is another
So
option
you have
for
to,
black. Yeah.
no, I think it's forced. I think
Hmm.
we're basically coming to the conclusion that you can't take on d4 or recapture on d4 with the pawn.
Hmm.
Rook takes is forced.
Yeah.
Okay, so, okay, rook c1, rook f1, c1 once again.
Rook to c1.
I was going to use the other rook,
The
rook
other rook.
f1,
Okay.
c1. I'm just thinking that a moment ago we were
Maybe.
eyeballing a2, a4.
Yeah.
That's why I was keeping,
Right. Maybe this
yeah,
pawn will need some defending when it gets to a6, right?
right. Well, if it gets to a6, the rook is going to have an open file. uh, and even here, still, okay, queen d7. It still feels like it's not all strawberries and cream for white.
Yeah, sure. In the meantime, if you want to know what's going on in the chat, people are discussing whether I am as sleepy as I look, and I just wanna make sure that everyone understands I'm even sleepier than I look.
Yes.
So like the 6 a.m. mornings have been a new experience. So put it
Challenge.
that way.
Yeah.
But okay, sorry, queen to d7, and you're counting on this idea of rook to b4
Right.
in case of
Precisely.
yeah.
And
Let's
I'm also basically hoping that after a move, for example, like knight e4,
hmm
rook c8, I'm not. My rook's not going to end up, like e3, rook takes d3. We understand that, but for the moment, the rook is a little bit vulnerable on d4. There could be a moment when you know the rook on d4 might not be on the ideal square.
Right.
But for the moment,
If it's
okay.
okay now, it probably is okay in general, just because
Yeah.
there's so little
That,
left for white to claim to have any advantage, right?
right.
So if there's nothing particularly
Snappy
in
and
this
yeah.
position, then I mean we could try to throw in our a4, but this time it just really doesn't seem like. I mean, black can even go a5 if he really wanted to, I think, or maybe rook to d8 and knight d5 is another way.
Also an option. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, this rook on b4, it may appear off out of bounds, but you can't attack it. You're missing a dark square bishop. So it's actually on a strong square.
Yeah. Yeah, b4 is as long as it can be attacked by the knight is absolutely fine.
Right. I remember numerous games where, in such structures with the knight on b6, the pawn on a7, the rook on a8, um, it turns out that the best square for white's queen is a5. Like you'd
Uh-huh.
like to play queen a5 here, like
Mm-hmm.
then kind of freeze the rook and everything. But the queen is so I was looking, I know it's stupid, but okay, bishop takes d4, rook takes d4. Uh, Go ahead.
Sorry, bishop takes d4.
Rook, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it would just the line we were
Rook
looking
takes
at.
d4. Mm-hmm.
Rook c1, queen d7.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at like an idea of going after the a pawn, which was knight e4, rook c8, queen a3. Yeah,
Yeah.
like give me that pawn. But that's the move that's really annoying. I
Yeah.
mean, a moment ago it was rook b4. Now suddenly and surprisingly it's rook a4. And it's sort
Yeah.
of like, darn it,
Yeah, and if we take, we can just take any way we want.
exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So queen a3 isn't, you know, uh,
Not quite
it
good
just
enough.
doesn't feel like White's doing enough
Yeah.
here.
I am wondering, Yasser, from White's
Yes,
perspective. I feel like bishop takes d4, rook takes d4 looks so easy for black that I
it's
I
just
feel like it
trying.
has to be queen to d1 back,
Yeah.
c4, and
Okay.
there needs to be some sort of an improvement here.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Rook c1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm just hoping that if you take on d3, I have some trickies that might involve
Knight to
bishop e4.
oh no, knight to
Well,
b5. This
I'm
one's
worried about
yeah,
e2.
e2 is hanging a little bit too many times
I
there.
was thinking bishop d4 and a knight jump, but you've
Yeah, but
got
it
this
doesn't.
rook
Yeah,
c4. Darn it.
yeah.
And knight d5 is not much better either. Hmm. How about that? And while I'm not happy about it, maybe I simply have to recapture.
Yeah.
E2 takes d3 and just queen d7 and say,
No, this doesn't
I don't
look
know what
very.
I'm saying.
Yeah, this doesn't
I
look
don't
very
see any
impressive.
problems
Hmm.
for black. That knight on d4 is a heavyweight. That's a great knight, no question.
This is a this is quite the night, yeah.
No
Um,
question.
but then I'm really wondering what. Okay, first of all, let me double check that no new moves were made.
Of
Because
course.
maybe Lev is. Well, this has happened actually. So
Well, I'm glad you double checked because I think we were going to investigate
yeah,
Queen D1
very yeah.
a little bit further. But okay, that Lev wasn't interested in, and I do understand why. I mean, it just didn't feel like that was the right way to be going. Okay, great. So what's White's next trick here?
Okay, let me try that move a4 one more time.
Certainly. And I did we meet it with Queen D7 or did we play Rook B4 right away?
We
Not
played.
sure.
I think we played rook to b4.
B4.
Yeah.
Let's try that. That looks like a pretty straightforward move.
So I wanted to try and put this here.
Okay. Now my queen on C8 really looks ridiculous. So Queen D7.
And let's say so I'm wondering if I can kick around your rook at all. So
You
something
want to
like
play B? Yeah, yeah,
a5,
I
knight
get
a2, or something of that.
right.
Maybe
Well, let's
maybe I should have put my queen on a2 still, because then I'm preventing knight d5 for the coming moves.
exactly. Okay, good idea. Good idea. Let's see how it goes now. So, um,
You don't like to give up that b5 squared, I think, but I feel like a5 is almost called for.
all right, I
Mm,
agree. I think a5, a6 is too disruptive for
mhm.
black setup. So a5 to stop.
Right. And now I'm just so initially I was pinning my hopes on having some sort of knight a2 move when I put my queen on c2,
Right?
and it I kind of like the look of white's position right now, but I know that queen
That,
d7 is coming and the rook is going to be developed, and I'll be left with
mhm.
nothing again, except maybe that I have to defend this pawn. So
Okay, but let's continue the idea because it's kind of an intriguing position to be sure. B2,
yeah,
B3, yeah.
okay. So
Queen
queen,
D7, rook on A1 to C1, sidestepping bishop F6 potentials, yeah.
let's say knight to d5.
Right. Now here the question is the rook on B4 getting, I don't know, what, artificially trapped or something?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say knight b5. Here's my thinking. If I can get in some moves like knight a3 to c4,
Mm-hmm.
the rook may never end up getting out of the b4 square, right?
Right, right.
Okay, but that's a long way to go, and I'm not convinced I'm right. At least it's an argument that's being made.
So rook to c8. Let's say you play here.
Okay, let's try. Why not?
I feel like I can even afford a
Yes.
b5 maybe if I really needed to.
Right. So that if I go bishop f6, knight c4, b5 to,
I need to be a bit careful with this one over here, but okay, let's try.
yeah. And great. I've really messed up your structure, but you've got c3 as a nice counter square.
Rook fc1 has already been played. I must say again, like most of these lines, Yasser, I'm not particularly impressed with White's play.
No,
Even if
no.
I'm getting into a tiny bit of trouble here as Black with my b5 and maybe it wasn't well
Yeah,
timed, the general feeling is that it really shouldn't be anything to worry about for Ding in these positions. If he,
I agree. And one of the things to buttress that point, many times in the English and the Catalan, if black ever, how do you say, clears the long diagonal, that is to say, his pawn isn't on b7, his rook isn't on a8. It often happens that, like in this position, we can imagine black's knight on c3. The bishop on g2 looks good,
mm-hmm.
but it doesn't hit anything.
No,
It could end
exactly.
up being actually a wayward piece in the sense that black just plays around and around the bishop, whereas he's got pretty good play here on the dark squares, despite the fact that your pawn structure is a little dinged. Um, and that wasn't intended to be a pun, by the way. I think black is fine.
Yeah, this is I agree completely. Rook to c1 was played.
Yeah. And okay, without the move a4 and the rook's not going to d4, well, queen d7, uh, idea of maybe knight d5 feels automatic now.
Yeah, I suddenly this idea of c4 also came to mind, but maybe it's not the best timing for it now.
c4 now?
It's really
Yeah.
trying to equalize completely, but maybe there's some a4 things again.
Well, also, you're trying to force equality, and maybe your knight and rook and queen, it's sort of like you've opened the position, yay.
Mm-hmm.
But who's the better developed side?
Yeah, it's white.
Sometimes you have to just, yeah. So if I played, for argument's sake, a move
Mm-hmm.
like e3, and the idea is if you play, bishop f6, maybe I have knight e2 or even something more aggressive. And, who benefits from the opening of the position?
Yeah, I feel like it could be equalizing on a good day,
Uh,
but
yeah, I'm having some doubts though. I'm thinking, yeah, go ahead. You can play queen
mhm.
c7.
Uh,
Oops, oop. Yeah, talk. E3, I propose knight e2, queen c7.
or
Uh,
maybe rook to b8 here. Let's say.
yeah, I was about to say, because my intention against queen c7 was to play a4.
Oh, a4.
Yeah, and it just feels that black's a little bit wrong-footed here.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, now there's really some pressure.
Yeah, there's some concrete lines where black's pieces of, yeah.
Yeah.
So c4 with the queen on c8, it makes sense, right? Put the
Hmm.
queen on d7, put the other rook on c8, c4,
Yeah.
your gold. Yeah,
So queen to d7 over here.
yeah.
Yeah.
And again, this just, if black's in time to play rook c8 and your move c4,
Hmm.
yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah. This is. I mean, we're talking about c4, kind of like we weren't speaking too much about it earlier. The only reason that we're talking about it is because it makes the equality so clear.
Visible.
But
Yeah,
like, if we
exactly.
don't go c4, it's also equal. It's
Yeah,
not like there's a obligation to play that move, but it
yeah,
just makes things so much easier to understand how equal it is.
exactly.
I wanna thank Goose for 200 bits. Thanks, buddy.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you very much. The more I'm looking at this, I know it looks kind of stupid. I'm not a big fan of my queen on b3. I'm not a big fan of a4 because I liked your solution of rook b4 and a5.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to get my queen out of the way. Can I? Well, no.
No, right?
I was looking at bishop f1, and I was thinking that, okay, if you play rook c8
Mm-hmm.
and I play e3, your rook is a little bit funky, right? Oh, you want to play something else? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You,
I see how this is actually. It looks really silly, but it's sort of similar to what I was trying to do earlier, where if I play Rook
yeah.
B4 and you go, I'm actually going to end up like having to go to like the king side or something in some
Right.
cases.
Yeah. You may get stranded in a desert over on G6.
Yeah.
But so I'm sitting there saying, if I don't play the move A4
Mm-hmm.
and give up the B4 square. So, okay, just go back one move,
Mm-hmm.
Robin. If you played the move Rook C8 and I get to go E3 and you go Rook B4, then I go Queen C2. And I'm thinking, I can play A3, tickle the rook, and just give it a kind of a kicking it around the board. And you just, as you mentioned,
Right.
the rook isn't
This
in
is
great
really.
shape on G4.
Yeah. It doesn't. It's not meant to be there. Like that's
But the
clear.
other intention was basically to stop you from playing C4. I don't know. Uh,
Right.
because, yeah, then, well, I may toss an A2, A3 as well,
Mm-hmm.
Rob,
Yeah.
where
Even better. Yeah. You're right.
yeah, I mean, okay, at least we found a way of causing black some angst.
Mm-hmm. But that
Okay,
being said, Bishop F1 does look
isn't the greatest,
a little
right?
artificial, yeah. Like,
Well, artificial is an understatement. It
uh,
looks okay. Knight d5, e3.
uh-huh.
Okay, rook before queen c2.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering if you actually have a claim
No, not.
to anything here.
I'm not overwhelmingly superior. I think I'm better though. I think so.
A tiny bit, yeah.
Yeah, because well, okay, a4. Uh, you, Eric would appreciate
Yeah.
black structure, being a Grunfeld kind of player guy.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Greenfield kind of player guy.
but Bishop F1 isn't like, as I mentioned many times on the show,
To be
whenever
honest,
my,
hmm
yes, whenever my opponent wants to retreat, it's sort of like, okay, congratulations, you're retreating. You want to put the bishop on e0?
yeah.
I agree. Like, so it's not like black should be terrified by the move. It's just like, I'm not sure what else to do, though. I'm kind of stuck with white.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, bishop f1 is so slow that I almost want to reply with queen
Yes,
to d8, just to be like, okay, you want to play that kind of game. I
I,
can
I
I can just make a square, free up a
get
square
the
and
move.
not.
Yeah,
I don't have to protect b7 anymore. So
right. Okay, I'm the audience. I'm open to suggestions.
for white,
Levon, yeah, Levon played this whole Queen D3 business very, very, very quickly. He could have easily anticipated with Black's natural moves, he would get such a position. Oh, by the way, we've just seen the voluntary retreat. Rook D4 to D7
I think he liked that setup so much that he was like, you
with
know
the
what,
queen on
I'm
D8.
going to
Yeah,
do it. I'm going to do it anyway. So like, I
right.
think his idea is that if knight to e4, maybe he goes queen to f8.
Right.
And
Because
honestly, he's right. It's so solid. It can't really be bad.
no, that is for sure. But having said that, go ahead, play that position, Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Knight e4, queen f8. I've been some while ago. I was explaining the best square is a5
Mm-hmm.
for white's queen. Thanks to black's voluntary retreat, and again, I always love it when my opponents retreat. Yeah, baby, queen b5. Give me the pawn on c5. And I'm thinking if you play rook c8, I'll go queen a5.
Yeah, that looks very annoying actually.
Eric, I mean, I was shocked. My ears turned red. Eric called me a pest on a previous broadcast. Can you imagine, Robin?
Well, I believe you've been
Being
doing that.
insulted,
I've been doing that. You've been doing that multiple times yesterday.
being a pest. Yeah. But here, I, okay, white still attempt. If white goes rook c2, rook c1, okay, it may turn out
there's a bit of something there, yeah.
right.
Okay, let me not be that solid and just play rook. Well, that's also solid, but queen f8 was uncalled for.
Yeah, that is rock solid. That one I will give you.
So
Uh,
I'll already tell you that
yes.
if you go here, I am going to change the queens
Okay.
and queen a5,
That
queen
was
a4.
that was kind of you to share that.
Yeah.
Save me the trouble. Hmm.
You can try to double up, but
If I fear that if I go rook c2, you'll play queen d7. I'll play rook c1. You'll play rook c8,
hmm
and I fear that uh, I won't have anything to crack.
nothing. No.
Yeah, I mean, no. The
A
only
a4, right? Maybe.
That's right. The only other thing I can imagine was how about instead of does that make sense for me? I'm not sure. How about in this position, a4? At least you can't play knight d5 at once. Ooh, okay. That is that is tricky, right? Okay, I take on c4. I'm guessing you're taking with the queen. And are you opening up the position for me nicely? I think you are. Queen b5. So again, I want to play a5.
Again, I don't like what I'm doing. Yeah, I keep getting
Yeah,
back to this. Although, is it really such a big deal here?
I don't know. Knight takes b4 or a take. No, knight takes b5. Robin playing with fire.
hmm
I'm guessing a5. Um,
This is going to be equal though, yeah, sir.
How so? Oh, take. Yeah, this is so equal. Yeah. Rook. You rook d6, and you're just.
Just in time.
Uh, it's not the most equal. It's not the most equal.
It maybe
I
is not
remember.
the most equal, but it will be drawn, I believe.
Okay, fair enough. I was thinking that after rook check, in that
Oh,
final position, just to say why. Oops.
yeah, let me put that back on. It was. Oh no, no,
Oh,
it was actually A4. Sorry,
yeah,
C4.
yeah. Um,
Oh, sorry,
take.
knight takes.
Oops. Yeah, I think. Yeah, that. You had this nice move, rook d6, check on downstairs, bishop f8. Now, here's why I was thinking it's not so equal. Um, that after, yes, bishop takes b7, let's say, rook takes b6, um, bishop e4. First of all, you're really happy that white doesn't have a pawn on f6.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in that awful, awful eternal pin.
Yeah.
But I was thinking that after g6, for example, or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would put my bishop on d3. You're ending up putting your pawn on b4. I'll put my pawn on b3, my bishop on c4, and it's a draw.
It is. It should be a
Okay,
draw, right?
like
Yeah.
I'm dissecting an insect here. White's infinitesimally better. Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, draw, agreed. Very good.
Um, but I don't. I must say, I agree that Rook D7, just for the
I
fact
don't
that there
like that.
are. I don't know. I don't really like it
Uh,
either.
yeah, I just it seemed like a premature retreat. There was no reason for it, but it's kind of like saying, I'm giving you a tempo, do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't do anything with it, then it's a then it's equal. So white has to act quickly, otherwise his advantage after queen d8, rook c8 will certainly not be visible.
Frank Rutten is asking if I'm in your basement. I'm not in Yas. I'm not in Yasser's basement, but I am actually living in a basement. So
No,
yeah,
are
yeah.
you? I thought
But
you were in a dorm or something.
no. I'm in last year, Yasser. We don't sleep in a dorm anymore.
Oh,
Um,
sorry.
but that's for first years. But
Yes,
actually,
of
a
course.
basement is very nice. You know who likes basements? Eric. Eric likes to go and camp and hide out in a basement,
He's
where
like
it's
the caveman, the cave
exactly
dweller.
it's exactly the cave kind of style, the cave lifestyle.
Hmm.
Um, but this one's not that cavey, so there's like a lot of windows and there's a lot of light relatively. So, but you're right, Frank. I am in a bit of a cave.
In a bit of a cave. And this is the point that Levon, by the way, did play the move a4, right?
Yeah, he did play it.
Yeah, he's got a crack. I'm not saying that this is great for an eventer, but he's got to do this now because in just a move or two, black position will be so rock solid, there'll be no active play. So a4,
Mm-hmm.
okay, go for it.
Queen
Now, at
d8
the
has been played.
oh, okay. I didn't find a refutation to c4, by the way.
No, it just felt like there was a slight pull for white there. Like
Okay,
even this position I thought is a bit better.
for
Um,
white, yeah.
yeah, if you just take with the pawn.
Also,
I
it's annoying,
it
yes.
doesn't feel like I'm really equalizing yet.
No, you still have some work ahead of you for sure.
Yeah. But queen
Yeah.
to d8 actually interesting. So he's allowing the pawn to a6.
Yeah, well, we got to keep, having said A4, let's say A5. Yeah. Okay, just a second there, Robin. I can't trick you. Knight takes d5, e takes d5, bishop h3, rook c7, and everything's copacetic, right?
After which move that is?
Yes, a5,
Uh-huh.
knight d5,
Mm-hmm.
knight takes d5, I'm trying to hunt a pawn with this move bishop h3, but no.
No.
We have a repetition likely after bishop g2, but okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Just 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 making sure. So you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to play a6, right?
Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
curious. Like I think
of
a
course.
lot of players would be a little bit scared to play this and let the knight go to b5,
Hmm.
and it probably isn't that big of a deal. But I also like just the way it looks. I don't really like it, but it probably isn't that bad. I'm just like he can go rook a4, knight b5, and then what? Probably nothing. But
Hmm.
I'm surprised Ding goes for it so quickly
Right.
when there were all
Well,
these
let's
other
let me.
options.
I think for a lot of players who ever studied the games of David Bronstein, and I'm one of the guilty in that, by the way, is David had an extraordinarily peculiar, intriguing approach to the King's Indian defense as black. He liked capturing on d4,
Mm-hmm.
playing against the Maroczy bind, and as black playing a5, a4, queen a5, a3.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you got his knights like on well, in this case it would be b5 and c4. You could imagine
Mm-hmm.
two white knights in the structure. Uh, he'd give his opponents fits. so so when you see the knight on b5 and you've got all of these David Bronstein games in your head,
Mm-hmm.
it's something you want to avoid. But you're making a very good point that, okay, if in this position white plays knight b5 and black, for example, plays rook c8 and you play rook a4, okay, you got a little bit of a grip on the queen side. Good for you, but maybe there's nothing else beyond that.
Yeah, that was sort of my issue with it for white as well.
Argument. Yeah.
Yeah, and there I really don't think there is. I can just play I can play bishop f6 or something like that, and
Hmm.
there's no clear continuation for either side actually. I mean, I also don't know what black's doing exactly, but
Yeah.
black could put the knight on b4 to
Right.
annoy white a little
But
bit, but
but here's one point in White's favor. White could play the illegal move, bishop g2, bishop b7. He would win brilliantly.
yeah. So this knight is completely tied down to
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. Okay, but again, that knight on b5, our spidey sense tells us that usually you want to avoid that. Rook a4 to c4, maybe
Hmm.
with the idea d3, d4.
Yeah.
This
There's something to say for white's position.
exactly. I agree with that.
Yeah. So has Levon already decided to push
Well,
it
he
down to
played
a6?
a4. He played a4, and he's got to play a5. I mean, no. Okay, so let's look at this game. Let's look at this variation. Sorry, Robin. A5,
Mm-hmm.
knight d5, a6. Let's look at maybe rook b8. Yeah.
Mm, that already that sounds a lot better, but is it better? Can I take?
Yes, it's legal. You did that quickly. I could have also taken on a6.
Oh, that's not. I didn't see that. Yeah,
Okay.
takes.
I'm not sure if it was
No,
clever.
I think that's a good move. That just
Okay.
yeah, and then you take back. It looks fine. Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
whoa. How did you judge that final position, by the way? I wasn't sure how to judge it.
this one.
Yeah, it's a nice imbalance. Queen c2, let's say. Rook takes a6, yeah. And now, like on a good day, if white ever gets to play e4, knight d5, he's boss, right?
Yeah. If he doesn't lose anything on the way, then yeah.
Okay, so rook a2, not losing anything on the way. Ooh, knight a4. This might be annoying. I mean,
Yeah, that's
I,
true. Because even if I win b2, it could be a little bit unpleasant.
that's right. That was my feeling as well. And here again, like a dream for me would be if I get to play e4 and black cooperates with the answer d4 and I put my knight on d5,
Hmm.
it's game over, strategically speaking. Good knight versus bad bishop.
I'm a little bit surprised because my feeling told me, okay, b takes a6 equal. Like,
Yeah.
okay, you made that weakness on a7, but you have it on b2, and I
Hmm.
just my initial thoughts were like, okay, that should be fine.
No
But
problem, right?
yeah,
But you may have some doubts. I don't know why, but I think it was because I had too much success. I was a victim of my own success in sacrificing my queen.
mm-hmm.
In particular, I was very, very good at sacrificing my queen for rook, bishop, and pawn, and good control of the squares of the color of my bishop. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And because of the successes that I had, I began to look later in my career for queen sacrifices. Could we go back to the position where we played queen c2?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, right here. Uh, Here, it really would, and I'd calculate it, bishop takes e6. I'd really calculate these kinds of things, takes on b3, bishop takes b3. And I start thinking in my head, I've got a light squared bishop, but I have really good control of the light squares,
Mm-hmm.
specifically d5, e4.
Right.
If I could ever go bishop c4, rook takes a6, double the rooks, knight e4, like
Yeah.
I could win the game, right?
You could win the
And
game, yeah.
I could win the game in brilliant style. So I would seriously consider this. I'm not saying it's brilliant or wonderful. It's what I would calculate, and I'd really give it a serious consideration. Like something could go wrong very, very easily for Black, and he's not even sure why it went wrong.
Mm-hmm. No, there are some concrete lines, but it might
Hmm.
it might be.
Yeah, I was hoping for that move, by the
Oh, you were okay.
way. Yes, go ahead. It's all right. You're welcome. Bishop c4. Yes, exactly. This was exactly the line I was hoping. Correct. Yes.
And maybe
So,
here.
right. And now I start thinking, how do I uh, crush you? Um, how about knight d5? There's there's the control of the light squares. Now my dream, yeah, that's fine. Okay, let me do a Hakasito.
Takes
Oh,
this
check.
one.
No, check on b8,
Oh,
dude.
oh, that's one. I was already like, how can you take on e7 here?
Right.
And
And rook b1. Yeah. And here's the thing that I'm thinking. I've got great play on the light squares. So even though it's rook for knight, it's like I'm saying your bishop on f8, your dark square bishop doesn't matter. I'm just going to play only on the light square complex. I'm going to go rook to b7. And again, notice that my bishop is on c4, my knight is on d5, and I'll take f7, and then I win brilliantly.
I prefer white here as well.
It feels like something could happen that, and here's another one too, by the way. And you just gotta. White might play rook to e8,
Hmm.
followed by doubling on the eighth rank, and maybe
Maybe
there's
some.
even a mating
Hmm.
ideas. Okay, it's fantasy, but I promise you that when I'm at the board, I would calculate that line bishop e6 and do my best.
What is going
This
on?
is
He took on d5 and played d4.
oh, uh, from the mind of Levon Aronian. um, I wouldn't have gone in this direction myself. What is that?
Okay, what happens if
I would take it,
I
right?
will make the dumb move.
Yes, I would make the dumb move as well because I'm thinking bishops of opposite color. I'll play bishop f6 and I'll be happy to be a pawn ahead. Ah, so it means in this variation, because of bishop h3, you can't challenge the c file with rook c8 anymore.
Yeah,
You can
but can
only
I?
challenge.
Yeah, uh, yeah. This
No,
this looks very awkward. Rook d6.
no, you have to play rook c7
Yeah,
to
and I have
to
to.
protect b7, right? Yeah, and I'll take. So this I can. Well, it still feels very drawn, Robin. Where I was dissecting insects a moment ago, this feels like another one of those. You, it, it only looks good. It's not a serious edge.
No, I can. If I want to, I can even get the a pawn off if I.
Forcibly
Yeah,
trade the a pawn.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Okay, now this one's going as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, let's see if we can. Well, I mean, it's bishops of opposite color. Levon is playing for a minuscule edge. I I'm surprised because I thought that move what you thought about bishop takes d5 and playing the knight versus the bishop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's imbalanced. I thought that had more potential than this.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he didn't go a6. It's
Hmm. 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 Well, okay. What can I say?
like I can tell you one thing, Yasser.
The fun's on a different railroad track than I am.
Yeah, I can.
Yes, please.
You could give me probably 10 guesses, and I
Yes.
wouldn't find this idea of knight takes d5 and d4. It wouldn't occur to me at all.
It would occur. I think it would be the third on my list.
Hmm.
Okay.
So you're definitely a little closer to left than I am.
Yeah, and well, it's just because I've seen many positions out of the English where my pawn is on d3,
Mm-hmm.
and my opponent has had dark squared bishop, and the move d4 to especially when there's a knight on f6. So the guy would take on, like, I'm thinking of a Tarash defense, right? Where black captures the pawn on d4, and he
Right.
has a dark squared bishop. And then I don't play knight takes d4, but I play the very peculiar looking knight e1,
Right. And knight
right?
to d3.
Knight to d3. And you got a dark squared bishop. Black, my opponent, has a dark squared bishop, and he's a pawn up. But I have a knight on d3, and the dark square bishop is like frustrated because it has no good diagonal.
Right. As long as the pawn's on d4, it's blocking its own piece, right?
Exactly. And it very often times happens that the knight on d3 jumps to the square f4. So I'm very familiar with these patterns, but I would have probably played a6,
Mm-hmm.
and I like that bishop takes d5 kind of business that we were looking at. I would have probably gone a6 and rook b8, I think is what we looked at. Bishop takes d5, b takes a6, and very reluctantly played queen c2.
Yeah. By the way, what happens if I? Yeah. No, bishop takes e6 was really interesting. What happens if I take back?
I have no idea. I would take on b7. Now you can't double the rooks. Oh, well, if you want to.
No,
Yeah,
that makes you really happy, doesn't it?
it does. You just heard me a moment ago telling me how I sacrifice pawns to blunt my opponent's bishop.
Oh, this looks nice
Yeah,
for white though. Like this looks like it could be something not, yeah, a
meaningful.
bit more meaningful than
The bishops of opposite color position.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, Levon took a completely different approach. He
Yeah.
went for a bishops of opposite color position, and let's see. He didn't go a6 as expected. He took on d5 with the knight and played d4. And Ding is thinking, right? Or he took.
He took.
And so here we played bishop h3 to win our pawn back. Maybe we shouldn't be so anxious to win our pawn back? Do we have other crafty moves?
We can go rook to c2.
Yeah, I like that. Well, I'm not going to play rook c1 because of my hanging a5 pawn, right? Okay, rook c2 is a decent move anyway. Okay, very clever. Is it time to make Luft? G6?
Yeah, that looks decent. Now you are actually definitely taking it. Yeah.
I'm ripping a5,
Yeah.
right? Ripping off a5.
Yeah, I'm having a very hard time believing in any of this.
True that, but then on the other hand, who has the easier play?
It's
For
wide.
the moment?
It is wide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is wide. I mean, it's not like, and again, the nature of these matches, the World Cup itself, is don't lose.
Right.
Don't lose. You winning is fine, but it's not as good as not losing.
Yeah.
You just don't lose. Ding Liren, the only player in the tournament to be undefeated, he's in the finals because he never lost. Even yesterday, when he had a losing position, he fought his way tenaciously. I didn't realize it, Robin, but he was really in time trouble, like severely time trouble. Ding Liren was. Then he played very quickly, and the shoe fell on the other foot. Then Levon was in time trouble. I hadn't paid enough attention to the clocks.
Right. Yeah. I just want to do a quick shout out, Yasser, to Lucas
Yes,
who has subscribed, and Goose who gave us another 200 bits. Thank you guys, and Lucas, welcome to the channel. And
Absolutely.
hope you're enjoying the show.
Yeah, before the start of the show, I had spoken with Robin and saying, one of the key reasons we're doing the stream is obviously to get chessbrah awareness, raise money for Aman, third Grandmaster Norm. He's playing in the Isle of Man. We got trolled with some fake news that he had drawn against Arkady Naidish in round 2. And I was thinking, hey, that's a really nice draw result because Arkady's like 2,700. In fact, he lost a heartbreaking queen and pawn endgame.
I think the trolls.
Arkady.
Maybe the trolls were actually not trying to troll, but were just very hopeful that he would draw that. But it was
Okay.
just on the edge of a draw. But Arkady managed to pull out the win, which was it was a very hard fought game, that's for sure.
Exactly. Nicely done by Arkady, though. Those aren't easy games to pull out because Aman had a very solid position at one point. Anyway, so yes, your donations, your support is trying to help Aman return to civilization. He's promised to keep a beard until he gets his Grandmaster title. We want to see him clean shaven. Desperately want to see him clean shaven.
Yeah, no, it's the beard has almost become part of his identity
Look,
now.
right?
But
Yeah.
but like he definitely deserves to shave it if he wants to. Rook to c2 has been played.
Right. Not anxious. Again, Levon could have played move bishop h3, won back the pawn he sacrificed, but he's holding that idea in abeyance. He wants to double his rooks on the c-file, but I don't think he wants to do it while jettisoning his a5 pawn. So I'm thinking, did he play g6, by the way?
No, it just feels so natural, doesn't it?
Yeah. I was thinking that after the move g6, I would play queen a4. Okay. I don't want to capture the d4 pawn. In fact, I'd rather you just leave it on the board. I do that move to protect the a5 pawn primarily, and so I want to play rook c1.
That makes a lot of sense.
Here, you know, the move that would kind of annoy me is d4, d3. But okay, but the problem with if it was white's turn here, let's say bishop f6, right? And if it was white's turn, and if you played rook c1, thinking, okay, this bishop g5 could be annoying.
Right. That's funny, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like sort of like,
But
is this really an advantage?
to be fair, there is a very concrete idea here. Okay, let's just say you're really silly, then obviously this is white's dream, right? Where he gets to play
Rook
rook
c8.
c8.
Brilliant.
The thing
Yes,
is,
that is good.
maybe if white has committed to f4, you could commit to f5, but this is generally
As
something
well.
that white wants to provoke, especially when if he
That is
doesn't have to
true.
play f4, because it is a bit of a weakness. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there could be some interesting ideas there. I like queen a4
Mm-hmm.
over here, and I'm wondering how black should approach this.
I think he shouldn't passively sit. Uh, Maybe rook c7.
Yeah, it's not my
Oh,
favorite way of returning the pawns though, because now
yeah.
I might just lose this
Now
one, right?
d5 is genuinely for sale.
Yeah,
Yeah. Bargain price
yeah.
too, free. Okay, so queen a4. Lev is doing his best to be irritating. How about d3 in this case, though? That was the move that irritated me. d3.
D3. Okay, let's say I take.
Okay, now I recognize I actually don't have to worry about bishop h3 because I do have the move f5. I can play rook c8.
So you're saying that this over here is not too big of a deal?
I'm not sure. It's the bishops of opposite color positions.
I mean, I'd still,
You would like to play white. I
yeah,
get that.
yeah.
I get that. I'm not sure it's a big deal. Maybe it is. Bishop g2, bishop f6, let's say.
Bishop f6.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say I play rook to
Okay. King g7, just avoiding trickies. Get my king on a dark square. I
yeah,
can't get the,
finally.
yes, I can't get kebabbed.
I don't know, yeah, sir. I feel
White is better. I'm
yeah.
not.
There's a little something, right? Like,
Yeah, you're having more fun than I am. But you know, this pawn on d3 is not great stuff.
no,
Okay.
it should be this, especially with an hour on the clock. Black should be holding this, but I can imagine that Ding Liren thinks that he shouldn't even have to go through something like
Any
that.
tortures?
Yeah,
Yeah.
g6. I was wondering about this move, queen to e8.
Okay, didn't pay too much attention to it. What's the idea specifically? You
So
want to go queen e3 check against f4? Okay,
right,
I get that. All right. So I'll fall for it.
rook c1.
Rook c1, yeah.
Okay, so I'll play here,
I'll fall for it more. f4, let's go. Let's just show.
and let's just say I just move it back.
And after bishop h3, your idea was to go queen e3 check and not suffer the consequence of rook c8. Got it. Okay, that all makes sense. Okay, I got that. That makes sense. Um, Queen trade, Robin. Bishop h3. If you move your rook, I was going to trade queens and do an invasion on the 7th. Hack, hack. Yeah. And again, we're talking, well, maybe a little unpleasant pressure. No, you're not You're not afraid.
No, one thing I feel a bit bad about Queen E8 is that again I can take you can take on D4. I'm not sure about this one because I have a bit of counterplay against E2 and I have Rook E7 maybe.
Here I'm beginning to like the fact that we have the opposite color bishops more and more. I like white a lot. Rook takes B7. Rook takes E2. I like the fact that these pawns, these double pawns, are so ugly. Um, Now, bishop G2 may allow D3, so how about bishop F1? This could be annoying.
Yeah,
I,
maybe.
I'm, I'm a little bit. That pawn on
Yeah,
A5 is pretty fast, right?
I don't like it either. You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I also don't like the fact that again you can take and I have to defend my D pawn somehow. So Queen E8 is not the move.
Not well. It's not a surprise that Queen E8 is not exactly your dream
Yeah.
move, right? You didn't wake out of bed. You didn't get up and say, "Oh, I'm going to be black today. I can't wait to play Queen E8 to E8." I feel so good about myself.
Yeah. No, it's just that the normal moves don't seem to be fully satisfactory either. So you start looking
Hmm.
for something a little different, but this is not the different I was looking for. Okay,
That was
what if I play like a computer, Yasser? After all, I'm from the computer generation.
yes, right. You have to represent. No, that was the move I always thought. You just give yourself you give your rook a little bit of a room. Yeah, you play King G7. You kind of fan your fingers and say, okay, Bishop H3, Rook E7, and
Yeah.
you kind of
This is what I would
go
play.
with the flow,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you're being pushed around a little bit, but how 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 important how big is White's edge? It's just
Actually, it's I now that we've made two normal moves, it doesn't feel like it's anything at all.
it does feel like it's waned,
Yeah.
huh? By the way, again, just to buttress this idea that the double pawns on the D file, you don't really need to be you don't need to uh, recapture them with some kind of alacrity. If you take White's bishop in this position on H3
Hmm.
and put it on D3, you're really, really happy that Black has double pawns. The pawns aren't going anywhere, and crucially, the D4 pawn blocks Black's bishop, and White's light square bishop, for want
Blocks.
of a
Hmm.
better way of expressing it, is actually more, is better, is
Yeah.
more active than Black's. So I like the idea of Queen A4, not necessarily to grab this pawn on D4, but simply to protect the A pawn. Let's go back to the move Bishop Rook C1. I don't like the move Bishop H3. No, I like everything that we've done. Rook
Hmm.
C2, G6, Queen A4, Bishop F6, Rook C1, King G7. Now let's play a little bit to release White's queen, B4. Okay, so White's queen is thinking, I want to go Queen B5, Rook C5.
I'm very tempted. Uh,
Yes,
I'm
to
very
play
tempted
D3, right?
to play this, right?
I know. I think that this is the most annoying way
But is
for you to
it?
do
Because I feel like Queen B3 is kind of annoying here because I can't go Queen. Well, I can go Queen F6, but my D5 pawn will be hanging. And okay, maybe Queen G5 actually.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, this looks fine.
Here, the bishop on D4 looks really good.
Yeah, no, this is
Yeah.
totally fine.
Okay. So that's the problem with I think this move D3 is a real annoying move. Um, hmm. Well, that's very annoying. What can I say? Hmm. What's the current position,
Good question.
Robin? I'm thinking more and more now that I'm looking at the position that
Bishop to
I need.
h3, he was played here.
Yeah, I was looking at the position. I was about to say, the more and more I was looking at the position, I'm feeling that maybe the queen needs to keep an eye on the d3 square and maybe queen b5. But he's played bishop h3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so rook c7.
Yeah.
Let's go. Ah, that could be Levon's idea. How about rook c1, rook c2, rook c2? I don't think you can take on a5 because b7 hits the rook on e8, a8, and the bishop on e7. Queen a5, queen b7. That looks good for white.
It does look good for white, yeah.
Yeah.
And but this seems forced. Oh,
Yes. Well,
yeah.
rook d6, queen b7 is terrible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
We
that's
can establish that. I
rook d
mean,
or actually I was also afraid of rook c1.
also, because
Yeah.
if rook c8 is, yeah, no, you don't
Terrible.
want any part of that one, of
Um,
that variation,
so this rook to c1
right?
takes rook
Change,
takes.
change. Well, again,
Okay, let's be silly and just
so
try. Hmm.
I, I love this quote from Michael Schuba. He was saying, "Bad bishops defend good pawns." That's just a great quote. I'm thinking if that d5 pawn was on c5,
Hmm.
it would be a bad bishop, right?
Yeah.
But it would defend good pawns. Here, I always do this. Do you do this in a game? They accused Anatoly Karpov as being a kind of a banker.
Hmm.
you know, he would look at his loan book, and calculate the interest he's receiving. And what the critics were saying was that he was constantly uh, juggling his accounts and calculating the piece comparison with one another.
Hmm.
So that I do that, and I do it very consciously. So I'm sitting here as white in this position, and I would go, my bishop is better than my opponent's bishop. My rook is better than my opponent's rook. My queen is better than my opponent's queen. In other words, my pieces are more active,
Hmm.
right? So I would say, I'm better, except what does my opponent have in return at the moment? They're ugly double pawns, but that's an extra pawn for black, right?
Hmm.
But I'm sitting here saying, okay, you've played the move rook b8, but you know, my sums are pretty good. How about queen b5?
Queen b5.
Yeah, just asking black what you gonna do. I was kind of hoping you were gonna do
I
that.
I
Right?
can I can tell because you're really provoking it. Like,
You're my perfect foil. I didn't realize that. Queen b6. I want you to take. I want to take. I want you to play bishop d8. I wanted to play rook c7. I
jeez, I
wanted.
really fell for it.
Yes, I want you to play f5. What are you? I'm going to play rook d7. I want you to take my pawn, and I want to play bishop g2. And I'm saying this is not a position that, well, I was going to say this isn't a position that you want to play. Um, Maybe it's still okay after doing all of those
All of those terrible
brilliant.
things.
Yeah, I did all of the brilliant. Okay. Bishop d5, king f8, rook b7, rook d5, rook takes. Should be a draw, yeah?
Yeah.
And rook takes b7, bishop c5. Um,
Or rook
what?
d6.
Or rook d. Well, yeah, rook d6. This feels this feels too dry.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't.
that's the thing. You don't have many pieces left, so
That's
yeah.
sometimes you run out of
Yeah.
firewood, That's why I created S chess, by the way. You
Yeah.
need that extra firewood for those
You need
combinations to
those
work.
you need those elephants and those hawks, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. Better for white, but not enough. That would be my um, take.
So Rook c7, Rook c1 is on the board, I've been told. So Rook takes c2 is going to be on the board as well.
Right. Let's have a look. See. You went Rook b8, which was very, very decent. I went Queen b5 with a peculiar idea. I have another idea. No, Robin, it didn't work. Queen b5, a6, queen d7, but that's like an identical line, only this time you play bishop b4 going after the a pawn.
Right.
My rook's not yet established on the 7th rank, which is why I played queen b6. Hmm. Okay, I'm trying to squeeze blood from the turnip here.
Yeah.
It's not the turnip's not yielding me any great shakes. Huh. Could I have done it? So can we just see that variation one more time? Queen b5, a6. Queen b6, a b6. You played a clever move, bishop d8, walking into my trap.
Yeah, I'm just
Bishop
wondering now whether I should have
done it.
a little bit more intelligently.
What? Intelligence. Rook c8 check. I'm way too slow, right?
I'm feeling like I'm gonna get the same position without f5.
Mm-hmm. Is that a draw, Robin? I think you're suffering, but I think it might be a draw. Rook c8 check. Rook takes c8. Bishop
No,
takes
it's
c8.
immediate draw, right? Like,
Is it so immediate? Yes, yes. Oh, sorry. I thought I was getting the a6 pawn.
right.
I would have an outside passer, put
Yeah,
my bishop on d3. But
some
thank
hope
you.
here, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this I thought, okay, the only two results. But no, of course, a6, a5 is brilliant.
Yeah.
Dead draw, no question. Ha. Okay, I'm gonna take a break, get some coffee. You figure out.
Absolutely. And I'll take a break after you, Yasser, because I'm gonna see if I can score any coffee or something. I need to start. It's 8:30 a.m. No, I'm not gonna be able to find any housemates yet, so I'm just gonna. But anyway, have a coffee, and
Yeah, and then we'll hope that you can find some yourself.
yeah.
5 minutes.
Thank you
Close.
for complimenting my hoodie. It's a special one. I don't know if you guys can see it, but you've seen it before already. I'm not sure that's in the hold on. Let me make sure that's in the yes. These are gonna come online at some point. We're working on it. I'm sure everyone has seen them already. Yeah, so kind of like yesterday, I feel like this game's heading for a draw. But then weird stuff started happening yesterday, and things got pretty exciting. So not time to give up quite yet. And Ding has played a move that requires a little bit more of a forcing answer, I guess, by left b6. See, I'm really anxious about getting this, having this pawn on a6 against me, but he doesn't seem to mind. And now after bishop g2, there's sort of an invitation to play rook to c8. Obviously, this is a little bit scary. Like, he must have calculated this, because if you lose f7, you're going to suffer for the rest of the game. And it's always nice to have... It's always nice to have Yasser's Yasser's coffee machine there in the back. I would mute it. I would mute Yasser's. I would. I would mute Yasser's. I would mute Yasser's coffee machine, but since it's been having every single day, by the time I'm even in time to mute it, it's already over. So the worst part's over. Yeah, the worst is over. My location is Kingston, Ontario, right next to Queen's University, or around Queen's University. So anyway, after listening to that beautiful performance by Yasser's coffee machine, let's have a look at Rook to c8. Takes on c8, Queen takes c8, Bishop takes d5. And how much of a pool does Lev have here? Is it enough to cause any serious trouble? Probably not. One thing I'm seeing right away here is that there's ideas of playing d3 and bishop c5. And obviously if we trade queens here, I can lose a pawn. And it should be draw. I can still remember Robin being in McDonald's. I can tell you one thing. I've never streamed from McDonald's. I'm not a regular there. But I think what we have in mind is maybe Bigfoot, our other friend from the Netherlands. Bigfoot may have streamed from... I see him being in the McDonald's quite a bit. So let's say you take. We can take another time because the bishop's hanging. And if you go here, I'll defend and I'm threatening d3. So this looks drawn. He must have played rook c8. It's the only move. Yeah, rook to c8. I think rook takes c8 is virtually forced, unless rook d2 would allow a check on c1. So taking seems almost forced as well. Queen takes d5, I can go check, or queen d8. So bishop takes, queen f5. I really don't see how this is not going to peter out in a draw quite quickly. Yasser lives in Hilversum, Netherlands. It's the city where all the media is made in my country. It's around 20 minutes from Amsterdam, 30 minutes.
Hi, Robin, I'm back.
Hi, Yasser.
Hi. This isn't the position, is it?
No, but actually, what Ding Liren has done is he played b6. The difference between Ding and I is that he doesn't care at all about this pawn on a6. He's like, please put it there. Be my guest. And I'm always a little anxious about it. And Lev also doesn't seem to like the idea of having pawns on a6. But after bishop g2, rook c8, to me just looks like, you know, the worst. Like, I mean, it was never really bad, but there's really not much left. So they're going to change rooks, otherwise there will be a check.
Right.
And after bishop takes d5, I think queen f5 is a very convenient way of defending.
Definitely.
And I was just talking about d3 ideas, and maybe bishop c5 is also a solid way to defend.
Make a very comfortable draw indeed. By the way, I had a thought that in that line where black allowed white's queen to go to b6.
Your favorite line.
Yeah, my favorite. I was, yes. No, I think, yes, this line, correct. Yes. This whole line. I think bishop d8 is fine, but that's okay. Rook goes to... Hold on. No, this wasn't the line. What? Okay, the rook goes... Oh, you don't play f5.
Right, right. That was the difference between bishop d8 and bishop c7. That
Right.
actually,
You had to play f5.
why
Yeah.
am I playing f5 here? Because I want to
Well,
take
because you
your...
want to take the rook. I guess you were afraid of bishop. You're not
No,
afraid of
I'm
bishop
not. Bishop
c8.
c8 is not
Bishop
possible.
d. Yeah, maybe you're afraid of bishop d7 to e8.
e8. Yeah, but then I can take
Or,
again.
oh, then you can take again.
It's funny because
But
I
you
don't.
were afraid.
I was afraid of something, but maybe there wasn't anything. Like maybe I could do something like a5 here
Useful
and
move
and
for sure.
a4.
Yeah.
But okay, f5,
Yes.
let's say.
Yeah. Well, here I was thinking cleverly, rook d7.
Mm-hmm.
You took my pawn. I I was thinking that maybe instead of my move bishop g2, I had g4.
Yeah,
Yeah. And the rook on d7 is so active.
yeah. This
Uh,
this is better for white. I can agree with that.
yes. Yeah.
Although we're still I
What?
still believe these positions are drawn, but
E3? Still in there. And now I'll take on, yeah. And it's time to lasso that d3 pawn, king f1, and get going over there. Okay, but
yeah.
yeah, here I'll play b4. You dog, you're
Rook
planning
b6.
to play rook b6 and neutralize it. Okay, but I think Ding's approach is actually very sound.
Yeah, b6 is a good move. So,
b6
but
was
what
great.
happened? What happened exactly if he went a6 here? That's what I don't understand. At least I would play it just because I feel like I'm keeping some of the tension.
Bishop c5, queen d6, rook e8 for black.
Queen of d6.
Yeah, playing on the dark
But wait a
squares. You
second.
got
Are you in time?
queen d7. Uh, what? Yeah, I didn't want to put my rook on f8, but yeah, rook d8. I don't know
It just equal d3 even. Okay.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, it's just even if it's not for that, it's probably really no big
Yeah,
deal. I mean, I can just put this on e7, d6.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And you won't be disturbing the bishop on c5 for a while at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So queen f5 is on the board, and
Nothing. There's just not enough firewood on in the position
no,
to disturb black.
no.
He's ready. I like your suggestion very much of D. So, for example, A6
Mm-hmm.
For
Yeah.
white, D3
d3.
for black. And I like very much your idea of putting the bishop on C5 and you, oops.
Yeah. Now you're happy that you can still give this one back and make a draw.
Yes, exactly. You're happy that you have a draw still in the hand. But yeah, D3 looks like an equalizer on the spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this game honestly could end in a draw any moment.
Very, very, very shortly. Okay, even though Levon came up with this new idea, Queen D3, it wasn't really enough to rock Black's world. Even when he made the slightly awkward move 16 Rook D7, um, his defensive resources were quite sufficient.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all in all, it just didn't seem like a very great idea. It didn't seem like a great idea because this knight b6 and c4 idea actually
Was
is so serious that you need to give up your
It's
bishop pair.
concrete. Yeah, it's very,
Yeah,
very concrete. Yeah, that was a fine idea by Ding.
yeah. And let's see if there's anything new.
Um, by the way, Robin, this is a
Mhm.
good moment to ask you about your studies. What are you studying, and what is your hope? What is your plans with the new degree that you will presumably be
Well, you
putting
like
on your resume?
you like talking about studies, and you specifically like the sentence, "What on earth are they teaching you kids in school?" But
Yes, exactly. That's one of my favorites, no question about it.
but
Yeah. All
I
that.
must say the courses that I'm doing here are actually a little bit more practice oriented, I feel.
Hmm?
So one of them is called Data Management for Business Intelligence, which is about how to construct databases. Like how does all that stuff that when you buy a product and you get your the business saves your name, your address, all that stuff gets into a big database, and how do you make sure that
Right.
stuff doesn't get corrupted in there, and how do you design those databases and whatnot. So that's pretty interesting. It's mostly with computer science people, but
Hmm.
it's considered a commerce course here as well. So I'm taking digital marketing, which I think is also pretty practice oriented about how do you do advertising online? How do you make sure people find you using which kind of keywords?
Hmm.
Setting up channels online for small retail businesses and so on. So we learn about that, and we have a lot of guest speakers here. So in that class, last week we had a guy from Shopify, which is a big
Okay.
company that helps small people set up small retailing businesses. Uh, the week before that, we had a woman from Facebook doing a lecture about how does Facebook work with their algorithm for digital marketing. So those are
Hmm.
two of my favorite classes right now. They're
Very
very
intriguing,
yeah.
right? I mean, I started a company in the very late 80s, early 90s. It was called International Chess Enterprises, or ICE. And we did Inside Chess Magazine, chess books, and chess software. That was our business.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and it's always for small businesses like my own that I started in Seattle, is finding customers or getting uh, awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And as a small retailer, I find it fascinating, the big search engine, Google, and how they do their data mining, and they make advertisements specific to customers, right?
Right.
And I think it's a very intriguing area, and certainly it's going to be around for a long, long, long time.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
maybe the future, right?
For sure.
Aha. Do we have this move Queen C4 by Levon?
Yeah, Queen to C4 was played, and it's actually the clearly a much trickier move than anything I was looking at
Hmm.
before. But you know how I am, Yasser. I start calculating really quickly when I see a line like this. So Bishop to C5. I'm wondering. Let's say your idea
Yes,
is B4.
correct.
Is there a D3 here?
Let's have a look.
I don't think there is, but it
I'll
just
take a bishop. Yeah.
it just caught my eye. So
Okay.
so there's Queen to B3, I believe.
Yes, looks
Obviously, my idea
logical.
is Queen to B3.
Making a queen. Yeah.
Yeah, and don't think I don't think I have enough to. I'm almost considering just, but it looks a little bit crazy to go B takes C5 here.
Right.
Yeah, so Queen to B3 saves
Saves the
the day
white.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, saves the day. Yes.
Okay,
Uh,
so how does Black defend? Because it's a little awkward. I have this one hanging and I have this one hanging. I can go Queen F6, but I don't really like it.
well, don't see the problem because I see basically when I play the move D3, a move I want to play, by the way, to activate my bishop. If you take with a pawn on D3, that pawn is going to have to go to D6. And it's not going to go through a dark square blockade. So start with the move D3
Mm-hmm. Okay, it takes.
and take the pawn on A5. So great, you've got a pass pawn, But I'm looking at blacks playing bishop b4, queen f6, king g7.
Yeah, you're this.
That pass pawn's not going anywhere.
You're right. This is
Yeah,
like
it ain't
doesn't
no
get.
way.
It,
It gets to d5, but that's the end of the road. That's it,
yeah, you're right. No, obviously, I mean, Queen C4 is still a clever move in the sense that
Of
it
course.
it keeps the game going. But yeah, there's so many positions where black is even down a pawn, and it's just absolutely
Mhm.
drawn because of the opposite color
Now,
bishops.
I would be reluctant to go b takes a, queen takes d4, because maybe on a good day, white gets to go d3 and e3,
Hmm.
and his bishop, yeah, it's better than black's bishop, you know.
But isn't also this working like very concrete?
Okay, very concrete. Let's see. Okay, I have to go queen d2. I don't have time. Yeah.
I'm learning from Levon. Like when you've gotten outside past a pawn, I
Yeah.
believe that there's very little that can happen to black who just I can give away everything else. You're gonna have to find a perpetual
Perpetual.
here to draw.
I don't disagree. Absolutely. That past a pawn. I mean, I have a beautiful, beautiful structure, but no, I'm going to end up making a perpetual check or searching for a perpetual check.
Right.
Yeah.
So in fact in that case, I would play b takes
Takes
a5.
and just be very direct about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, though, having said that, we were just talking a moment ago about this idea of the good bishop and blockading. Your pawn's not going to go any further than a3. So would you be so happy after, say, queen c4, bishop takes b2, let's say king g2? Maybe not the. You could go a4 if you like. I'm thinking white is going to go f4 and e4 and e5. Your pawn's not going to get any further than a3.
Yeah, it's fair. I am a little bit surprised in the sense that I'm up a pawn, Yasser, and
Yeah.
you're suddenly not deciding not to take my side, but it
I know, it's shocking, right?
it's shocking, yeah.
Well, it's very early in the morning, your time. Maybe by the time I've had another cup of coffee or two, I'll say, "What am I thinking?" I'll come to my senses. But yeah, okay. We're still way well within the realm of a draw. I just don't know if this is
The easiest way of doing it, yeah.
easiest, absolute easiest. I think the absolute easiest is D3,
Hmm.
D4, D3.
Well,
That would be. He took,
he took.
and maybe he's going for your approach, which is, hey, look, you take my pawn on D4, I'll take the pawn on B2, and well, I'm happy.
So you said here takes.
Yeah,
Okay, let's make a couple moves.
sure, just to see how serious, non-serious it is. E4, F4, yay. It really looks not serious.
Yeah,
It's- no, I'm dissecting insects again. This is
yeah,
just minuscule,
yeah.
minuscule,
I mean,
minuscule.
yeah, nothing
Come
can.
on. Yeah, I mean, how bad can it be? Seriously.
Yeah, it's very hard. Like even if I wouldn't have those A pawns, I don't think you should be beating me. But with
No, with them. I mean, yeah,
yeah,
I don't think so either. Okay,
yeah,
fair enough. Well, yeah, what can I say? It sure looks like it'll be heading for a draw. Now, we said that in game two, that it looked completely equal to our eyes. And then suddenly Ding played this move, knight c5, allowing b6 and an outside pass pawn.
yeah.
By the way, I realized for the first time, you know me, I hate being down pawns. Queen takes d4, bishop f6, a, queen c5, bishop b2, queen a5. I don't have to be down a pawn. Yay.
Yeah, you're we're not gonna change history with this.
No, no, we're not. No, we're not.
No, but it's true. Like it's a better version of what we just saw. That's true.
Right. The pawn's not on A3. Um, we're gonna draw.
We're gonna
Uh,
draw. Yeah, this is. If this one's not a draw fairly soon, Yas, then I'd really like
we're
because
gonna have to.
yesterday I was already starting to call it, or we started
Yeah.
calling it like should be a draw soon, and then it actually got really exciting. But I,
Yes, it
one of
did.
the players really has to make a major mistake here for this to, uh,
Ever become serious? Yeah.
yeah. So how are they going to manage to do that? Let's try to
I
figure it
don't.
out.
I mean, we really. Well, they often say, for a game of chess to be won, a player has to make a mistake, and it's somebody's going to have to make a serious error here uh, and misanalyze something. Like a serious error here for black might well be a move like queen b1 check, king g2, and queen takes b2, and you lose the f7 pawn. You know,
Oh, you mean
no,
after? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, like yeah, queen.
Oh, sorry. It was this one you played. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Well,
well,
actually, this one,
not
this one
egregious.
will be
I,
particularly.
yeah, this is an egregious one. This is where you lose the f7 pawn and you get mated
You get checkmated. Little detail.
to boot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this is how black can really hang. Do a face plant.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not going to fall for anything quite so grotesque.
So we have, if this ends in a draw, we have one more game with Ding Liren playing with White,
Yes.
and help me remember, Yasser. These players both had tie breaks, so they're both with the shorter time controls. I mean, obviously they're experienced, but even in this tournament,
Hmm.
Levon beat MVL in the tie breaks all the way to like the Armageddon game, pretty much.
Yes, yes, that was an amazing tiebreak game. But the really big tiebreak game was against the Russian player Malak Malak
Matlakov, right?
Matlakov. That was where Levon needed a win on demand. I think twice he needed to win on demand, and he did it, and he got through. That was a very scary tiebreaker for Levon. Put him not
Hmm.
in the finals, but that. Whereas Ding, again, I mentioned it previously, didn't lose a single game.
The whole
So
tournament.
the whole tournament,
I didn't even
he's the only.
realize that. Yeah.
That's right. Going into the semifinals, there were actually three of the four players hadn't lost a single game, and they were Wesley, MVL, and Ding. Levon had lost two games actually in the tournament, but basically Ding's success has been that he hasn't lost any games. That's really a standout. Levon just probably played b3 and must have offered a draw now here because after queen f6
Yeah.
followed by bishop b4, there's absolutely nothing to discuss.
No.
The
I
bishop,
mean, there's a lot of things to discuss, but not this game.
not this game, not this position. The bishop on b4, I mean, okay, it can go to c3, it can go to e1. It
Yeah.
protects very nicely everything, and draw.
Draw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This one's definitely a draw. But
Yeah.
I'm not
So
sure.
anyway, to your point was like, should this match go to a tiebreak, um, which is very, very conceivable, who would we favor?
Right.
Ding has just played a great, great tournament thus far, and
Hmm.
he's played great. Rapids tie breaks.
Mm-hmm.
I, in fact, it was just against Wesley. Only Wesley, I
Yeah,
think
in the first game, right?
yeah, Wesley forced him to the 10-10, 10-10 tie breaks.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, whenever Ding had a tie break, he won it in the Rapids. It was only Wesley that forced him to play an extra pair of tie-break games. So, it's when you play a guy who's really in great form,
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. Yeah,
it's really hard. Yeah.
yeah. No, especially with this is slightly disappointing for Levon, uh, especially given what happened yesterday, where he was just on the verge of winning. You'd think that
Yes.
he was hoping to show that with White getting maybe a small edge out of the opening, he's capable of outplaying Ding again.
Yes.
But it seems as though Ding is back to his solid self, and we're not he's not really experiencing any major problems here with Black.
When we set up this match from the get-go, um, it was mentioned, and I didn't realize this, that Ding Liren probably has the best score of any player in the world against Levon Aronian,
Yeah,
that they had played multiple classical games, and Ding had won three and never lost.
yeah.
I mean, damn.
This is really
I mean,
impressive.
really impressive.
It's
And
it's
as Levon said about the match, it gives me a chance to improve my score.
He said that. That's a good one, actually. I
Yes,
like it.
yeah, I know. I thought
Yeah.
it was a typical Levon, very witty
Mm-hmm.
uh, response for sure. Okay, so what else can we talk about here, Robin? Does our audience have any questions about any of the players? Um, well, uh, what's happening in the chat,
Um,
or has it been a quiet,
it's it's
been a
it's been
quiet
it's
day?
been fairly it's been fairly quiet. People are
Hmm?
making jokes about Anish.
Of
Uh,
course.
if Geary was a rapper, what would he be called?
And what would he be called?
50%. Because you have the famous rapper
Uh,
50 Cent, right?
50 cents.
But he
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
50%.
50
At
I
least,
like it. I
yeah.
think Anish would too, by the way.
Yeah,
Anish has
no.
a great sense of humor.
Anish likes like some of the even the draw jokes. He
Yeah.
likes a couple of them. But
Yes.
I don't I don't really see any questions popping up for the moment.
Okay. All
People are
right.
saying that, don't be nice to Robin. He hasn't had breakfast. He looks like he hasn't slept
Yeah.
in 5 days. So
Yeah.
that's nice, but um,
By the way, something to talk about, because I was really shocked. Like, I thought something was wrong. What happened was it was the Isle of Man event round one.
mhm,
So I went on Chess 24
yeah,
and I was looking down the list of the games. And I'm looking and I'm saying, that's a mistake. They made uh, the pairing wrong.
mhm,
It was Fabiano Caruana, Vladimir Kramnik, round one of the
yeah,
Swiss, right? And I'm going, no way, these aren't the players. And so
mhm,
I had to get a confirmation. And what they did is they did random
yeah.
pairings
They
for round
randomized.
one.
Yeah,
And it was hilarious because that game literally could decide the candidates, right?
so you're thinking
Because,
almost impossible that it was really random. And they were like, let's just put
what?
put these guys up against each other who are fighting for the candidates.
Right. I
Yeah,
mean, I like, what? Because again, I think everybody's aware of this, but just to repeat the obvious, there are two places that go to the 8-player round robin candidates tournament, and there 3 players are in that race, and they are Wesley So, Fabiana Caruana, and Vladimir Kramnik. and they're really, really tight.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment that Vladimir is in the third spot. He's the odd man out looking in kind of thing. And he needs, let's say, 10 rating points. Yeah, a gain of 10 rating points to really, really make it close. Suddenly he's playing. If he wins that, you know what I'm saying? It's suddenly, a 5-point swing that could decide the candidates. And I was
Right.
like, no. Then the other thing about the Isle of Man tournament that I thought was hilarious, like, God has a strange sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Hu Yifan made the worst protest I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Gibraltar. I mean, this is a really, really fine young lady,
Yeah.
and she just she went on tilt in Gibraltar because she was very angry. She felt that the organizers were deliberately feeding her female opponents.
Yeah.
Like the number of females in the event was maybe 3% of the field, some minuscule number, and she was playing everybody, right? So she
Yeah.
felt that she had been purposely paired against women only.
Mm-hmm.
Now look at her result in Gibraltar. Round one. She
No,
plays
in Isle of Man.
Alexander
In Isle of Man.
Kostyuk.
Yeah. Yeah. Round two, she's playing. Who was it?
Another lady.
Another lady. Yeah. And now
And
round three, she.
another lady.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, she must be thinking, okay, so, like, what are the mathematical odds of that? Again, just as a repeat follow-up to Gibraltar, it's like, okay, I mean, I don't know if it's bad luck for her. I mean, she obviously feels that she doesn't want to play in the women's game anymore.
Mm-hmm.
She's taken a kind of a Judith Polgar approach of saying, I just want to play against the world's best players. And the irony is that she's
getting paired against all the
against
women.
the world's best female players.
Yeah. And yes, we actually have a draw.
There we go.
Queen to e4 was played, and draw.
So we managed to speak right up until the time they agreed to draw.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yes, I'm really glad that everything worked out from here.
Right.
That means that I can be streaming from here as well for those who are regulars on the channel.
Wonderful. Subscribers, yeah.
And Manert Monkey saying RVK is like delighted to have a draw. I only have class at 11:30, which means that I have at least a good hour and a half that I can just lay in bed and sleep again, Yasser, which is pretty great news. Yesterday I missed a big part of one of my lectures because Levon almost won a game that we thought was going to be drawn.
Exactly.
Don't get me wrong, I really do like exciting games, but there are perks. There are perks when it's early morning here, an occasional quick game. Today really wasn't that exciting. Levon's opening was kind of new, but it really didn't test Ding Liren's preparation much.
No.
This leaves Ding with one white game left, and as we were talking before, we're heading to tie breaks if that becomes a draw, which we don't know obviously how that's gonna go down. Maybe Ding will still be able to make something out of that white game, or maybe Levon will actually win that game because after all, yesterday he was playing on the black side and had a winning position.
Right.
So it's still that fourth classical game, and if not, we will be doing commentary on the tie breaks on the Wednesday.
Exactly.
So either way, we're here, and yeah, I believe Yasser tomorrow you'll be working with Eric from Isle of Man.
Okay. And am I right in my thinking that Eric did not play in the tournament because he wanted to focus and help Amon get his third Grandmaster norm?
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So he's really gone there as a coach.
Basically as a coach, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
All right.
Very good. Very good, Robin. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Sorry we didn't have more of a game, but it was impressive play by Ding, where he just held very comfortably with Black, and we all know how difficult that is, playing against these elite players.
For
You
sure.
don't normally get such an easy ride, but he did it very comfortably today. We, as Robin's saying, we'll see you tomorrow, Robin,
Hmm.
and hopefully we'll have
More excitement.
more excitement, a game that we can really sink our teeth into.
For
All right,
sure.
everybody.
All right.
Thank you for joining the chessbrah channel. We'll see you tomorrow. Robin, you enjoy your computer science
Classes. Thank you, Yasser.
classes.
All
All
right.
right. Bye bye, everyone.